5-8. So I'll run the B-roll. You do what you usually do. Introduce where you are, who's playing.
Oh, you want me to do this?
Oh.
I can do it.
He's got room!
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to beautiful Maxwell Field in Wildwood. I'm Brian Kniff with Dan Wilkins, a collaboration here between Dan Wilkins Broadcasting and Cape Atlantic Live, as we are at the Southern Cape Strikeout Cancer Classic here at Wildwood's Maxwell Field, as I mentioned. And we have the broadcast of both semifinal games today, as well as the championship. And this first one coming up is between Wildwood and Lower Cape May. Lower Cape May won both of its games in its pool yesterday, beating Camden Tech and Cape May Tech. And Wildwood split its games. They were the second-place team in the other pool. They beat Wildwood Catholic and lost to Middle Township. So the first semifinal here pits Wildwood and Lower Cape May. The second one, which is scheduled for 1:30, will be Middle Township and Camden County Tech. And the winners will play at 4 o'clock. But we did a game here last week, Dan, about 9 days ago, Wildwood and Pleasantville, and the weather is certainly much different today than it was that evening.
Well, I'll tell you that Wildwood is no stranger to Lower Cape May. They've played twice in the regular season already. It was almost like they were preparing for a Cape Atlantic series because they played back-to-back on April the 30th and May the 4th. They lost the first game to the Caper Tigers 8-3. They won the second game by a score of 4-2 in the home-and-home matchup. But what I'll say is Wildwood, 4-1 in their last 5 games, now 17-8, and they're still top 5 in South Jersey Group 1 Power Points. So this should be a good opportunity for both of these teams to get the opportunity to go ahead and get the opportunity to get into the final round. Now, what's interesting about today is our friend Brian's going to go over and announce the starting lineups under the public address system. We've got, for Lower Cape May, they've got a freshman starting in Chase Slaney on the mound. Lower Cape May is 10-15. They're 2-10 in the Cape Atlantic National, but they have gotten back in the win column. As of April 27th, Lower Cape May was 2-12 in their conference, 2-12 overall. They have now won 5 of their last 6 games with 1 loss to Atlantic Tech, but they're riding a 4-game winning streak, including 2 wins on Saturday. So with Lower Cape May, a team that's very young, very projectable, trying to get back in the win column, and they'll continue to try that again versus Wildwood.
Yeah, you mentioned very young. The one thing that's interesting about the teams down this way, Dan, is that Lower Cape May, Wildwood, Middle Township, Cape May Tech, even Wildwood Catholic to an extent, all very, very young teams. Lower Cape May is very sophomore heavy. They also have a freshman on the mound today in Chase Slaney. Wildwood starts as many as 4 freshmen and also a sophomore. And Wildwood has no seniors in its rotation. So this is a game between 2 very young teams whose better days are probably ahead of them, but both with an opportunity, obviously, to win a championship here at this tournament. And in order to do so, they'll have to win this semifinal game.
Well, our starters today on the mound, it's Trevor Troiano for Wildwood and Chase Slaney, the freshman for Lower Cape May. We'll take a quick break from Maxwell Field, our first of 3 games today in sunny Wildwood, New Jersey. Wildwood and Lower Cape May after the break.
All right, back at Wildwood's Maxwell Field, Southern Cape Strikeout Cancer Classic, excuse me. And it is Wildwood and Lower Cape May. We're just about ready to get underway. This is Chase Slaney, a freshman, on the hill for Lower Cape May. Leading off is Trevor Troiano. And Trevor Troiano is one hit away from tying the program record for hits in a season. He has 43 now.
Seems like a lot of Wildwood guys are getting high hit seasons. How about that one kid from Wildwood Catholic, Nick Antonicello? He's got something like 50 hits this year.
Yeah, he's a nice player. He's a really, really good player, as is Trevor. And 2-1 on Troiano now as Slaney finds the zone. Slaney was injured for a good portion of the season. He hurt his foot, but he came back about a week to 10 days ago. But he's 3-1 on Troiano here. That record, that program record for Wildwood, Chris Moore-Milley, a 2016 graduate, had 44 hits. Ball 4 there. That was a borderline pitch. Slaney didn't get the call, and Troiano walks.
That could be a big factor today as well with the walks.
Sorry,
see a lot of those.
And I believe that Lower Cape May thought that ball was at the knees, and it might have been. The umpire actually indicated to the bench that the pitch was outside. So that's why it was called a ball. So here's Gianni Troiano with a runner on first and nobody out to start this semifinal game. That's Caden Elwell at first base, who just got that pickoff try from Slaney. First pitch, a strike to Gianni Troiano. The rest of the infield, Connor Milligan's at second base, Nick Richards at third, Ty Heacock at short, Ashton Ray is the catcher. Another throw over. And the outfield, Cooper Milligan in left, Stephen Lutchen in center, and Colin Hewitt in right for the Caper Tigers of Lower Cape May. Good curveball there. And Slaney gets ahead of Gianni Troiano, 0-2.
They got him in a pickoff here, rundown.
Yeah, Troiano was picked. He's going to try to stay in this rundown as long as possible, make throws, and he's tagged out. And that's one of the things about Wildwood. One of their weaknesses, Dan, is that they tend to they're an aggressive base running team, but they tend to make just too many outs on the bases.
You never want to make any out on the bases,
right.
And I've seen that a lot this weekend with runners getting thrown out at second. This was a different case of that in the rundown.
Well, that pitch was called a strike. Wildwood thought it was high, so striking out looking is Gianni Troiano on a curveball there. Here comes Nolan Mowini. And the rest of the lineup for Wildwood, Michael Blanda is the 4-hitter, followed by Michael McWade. Will Audie, Lewis Sewell, Owen Bannon, and Vinny Sweeney. Fastball for a strike here. Curveball, that's a ground ball. Ooh, under the glove of the third baseman, Rickards. Not an easy play, had to go to his left, but I'm sure he probably feels he should have come up with it, and Mowini reaches with 2 outs.
And first hit of the game as well, and obviously Wildwood would have liked to have that rundown back because you could definitely have 2 runners on with 2 away with your cleanup batter in Blanda.
Well, you'd only have 1 away.
That's true. Yeah, that's true, yeah. Even better.
Blanda's been hitting well lately. He had I believe it was 4 hits in yesterday's 2 games, and 1 was a triple. Curveball low.
We were talking about Lower Cape May and their very young ability. They have a grand total of 10 sophomores on their roster, 4 freshmen, no juniors and only 2 seniors, Caden Elwell and Colin Hewitt, both of whom are in the lineup. Hewitt in the 7th slot. He is defense only in right field, and then Elwell batting third at first base. So very young team in the Caper Tigers.
2-0 pitch here from Slaney. And that is low and away. And, well, I was about to say ball 4 because the pitch came in high, but it ends up hitting Blanda in the helmet. He's okay as he trots down the first. And it'll put 2 runners on with 2 outs for Michael McWade, who's, no pun intended on the Wildwood nickname, but Michael McWade's been a warrior for this team. He caught both ends of that doubleheader yesterday in the semifinals, and he's in the lineup as catcher today.
It'll be interesting to see if Wildwood faces CCTS in the final. We'll have Warriors versus Warriors.
Curve is low and away.
Surprised to see a first pitch curveball as often as we have from this freshman.
Yeah, especially with runners on first and second there. Strike at the knees. That's a really good fastball right there because I think as a hitter, Dan, when that first pitch curveball is a ball, you're sitting dead red. You know you're getting a fastball. And Slaney put it in a perfect spot there, but now misses here. It's 2-1.
Well, we covered the NJSIAA Junior College Tournament this past weekend, the last 3 days, and we talked a lot with our crew about how many pitchers liked to throw off speed on the first pitch, and sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. It really came out to be indifferent, but at the end of the day, it seems like that's something that more pitchers are doing now, kind of to put into motion the element of surprise, where they don't want the hitter to really expect a fastball, so expect the opposite.
2-2 on McWade. That's a base hit to left. Mawhinney will score. Got a good jump with 2 outs. Now the throw sails over the cutoff man's head, and that's a good read by Michael Blanda to take the extra base there. No shot to get Mawhinney. That ball really needed to come into the cutoff man, Rickards, and it went over his head, and Blanda takes third base. Matt Mayer, a freshman, is the courtesy runner for McWade, who has the RBI single to give Wildwood an early lead. And here's Will Audie, who, he gave up, I believe, 7 runs were charged to him yesterday. Ended up pitching pretty well for Wildwood in that game against Middle.
And Middle will play in the second semifinal game versus Camden Tech, with the Panthers being the home team, slated to start at 1:30.
Curveball called a strike. What we're seeing so far out of the home plate umpire, Rocco Rossetti, is that the higher pitches are being called a strike, but the lower ones are not. And Matt Mayer is picked off. Wildwood scores a run, but they get 2 runners picked off of bases during the inning. It really could have been a lot more. And we'll be back right after this with the bottom of the first.
The RBI single.
Mawhinney will score. Got it.
All right, we are back at Wildwood. This is Trevor Troiano on the mound for the Warriors. And Michael McWade had that RBI single in the first inning to give Wildwood the early lead. So Ashton Ray leads off for Lower Cape May. Chase Slaney batting second. Caden Elwell is third. Ty Heacock, the cleanup hitter. Stephen Lutchen is fifth. Cooper Milligan. Blake Cedarland is the designated hitter batting seventh, followed by Nick Rickards and Connor Milligan. And today's broadcast being brought to you by Ribeye Steaks, City of Wildwood, the Mud Hen Brewing Company, Crest Savings Bank, and we'll get to some of the other sponsors in a bit.
And big thanks to Rich Hans for supporting us for this broadcast as well. It's definitely a hike for us on Dan Wilkins Broadcasting, but it's always nice to get down here. I will never turn down a trip to Wildwood, and Rich is a great gentleman to work with, so we're glad to be here this Sunday afternoon.
You mentioned Rich Hans. We never mentioned the coaches. Rich Hans, he's assisted by Lorenzo Plaza, Randy Sturm, Dave Bannon, Bill Audie. Strike two to Ashton Ray. It's 1-2.
I really like Ray as a hitter. He hit .390 as a freshman last year with 14 RBIs and 32 hits. He's batting .357 this year, but he's hit safely in his last 4 games, which, funny enough, Lower Cape May riding a 4-game winning streak. They've ridden the hot hand for the Caper Tigers in this win streak.
That pitch fouled off. His older brother, Hunter, Dan, is having an historic season for Fairleigh Dickinson. The last I looked, he had 26 home runs, which was far and away a program record. Also has set the program record for total bases.
I knew I recognized that name from somewhere. Yeah, Hunter Ray, fantastic athlete.
Good curveball. Ray strikes out. They have to throw down the first as the ball did bounce before hitting McWade's glove. Very fundamental play there by McWade for young catchers out there. He did a nice job of stepping out into the field of play so he's not throwing the ball over the runner's shoulder, which makes it difficult for the first baseman. McWade took 2 steps out onto the field of play. Textbook fundamentals there from the Wildwood sophomore.
And that was a huge point of contention in one of our junior college games on Thursday between Middlesex and Brookdale. As ground ball to third.
Lewis Sewell makes the play.
But as I was saying, we had a junior college game where Middlesex, their catcher, picked up a strikeout, but did the opposite of what McWade did, just kind of stood on home plate, threw the ball to first, ended up almost hitting the runner and missing his first baseman because the ball was blocked from his line of sight. 2 runs came in to score, and it ended up being the deciding factor in an 11-7 win for Brookdale.
That was Chase Slaney who grounded out. Good play by Sewell over there. Always good to have a 6'3" long first baseman, too. Big catch radius over there for Nolan Mawhinney. Here's Caden Elwell, and he's hit by a pitch. Elwell had a nice moment the other day on Thursday, Dan, senior day, and against Pleasantville, hit a home run, his first career home run on senior day in a win over Pleasantville. And he takes first base after getting hit by a pitch. Ty Heacock, the cleanup hitter, and he had 4 hits yesterday, 3 extra base hits, I believe. Had 2 doubles in the one game.
And for Elwell, that's his 10th hit by pitch of the year. But watch him on the bases. He's stolen 23 bags, 38 total in his time as a Caper Tiger.
This ball's fouled off. Goes off McWade. And McWade, as we mentioned, he's got to be a little sore already after catching 2 games yesterday and then being right back out there for an 11 a.m. start today.
The good news is if Wildwood wins, he'll have at least probably about a 2-3 hour break between games 2 and 3. So he'll get a chance to rest.
Yeah, the winner of this game will sit out. The next game, as you said, Dan, is the second semifinal between Middle and Camden County Tech, and then the championship game at 4. 1 strike to Ty Heacock, sophomore. Last of the 3 Heacocks, his twin older brothers, graduated last year. They were multi-year starters at Lower Cape May, nice high school baseball players. That ball is smoked, but a great hop that popped right up to Gianni Troiano, and he's able to flip over to Owen Bannon for the force out, and Wildwood keeps Lower Cape May off the board. 1-0 Wildwood. Will be back with the second inning right after this on Dan Wilkins Broadcasting on Cape Atlantic Live.
is Mental Health Awareness Month. It is the responsibility of all of us to make sure that our friends, family, and anybody who we hold dear in our lives is feeling well.
The problem with spotting mental health issues is that the symptoms aren't that obvious. Just because someone is okay or appears okay on the outside doesn't mean that they're okay on the inside.
It's important that if they are in distress, that they call the right people and they get the help that they need.
And it is very important that we treat each other with respect, regardless of who you are or where you come from. But it is just as important that we treat ourselves with respect, regardless of the situation going on in our lives.
If you're in distress, you can call this number, 988, or you can visit any of these websites if you're not in distress, but would like to learn more information about mental health awareness and research.
All right, back for the second inning. Brian Kniff with Dan Wilkins. Southern Cape Strikeout Cancer Classic semifinal game. Wildwood leading 1-0. Ty Heacock that made the last out last inning. I think he was unfortunate there, Dan. He smoked that ball, and it took a weird hop and bounced right up to the shortstop. Gianni Troiano was able to flip the second for the force out. This is Will Audie leading off. Jay Slaney returning to the mound. Some of our other sponsors today, Maurice Piers, American Pools, Hall's Carpet Care, Bow Harbor Motels, and Wildwood Crest, and the law office of Seth A. Fusilero.
Now I'm curious to see how Chase Slaney, how far he's going to stay in the game. He has not thrown more than 93 pitches this season, and that was more of an outlier. He threw 93 versus Buna back in April, early April, and then 84 versus Holy Spirit. Since April 13th, he has not thrown more than 70 pitches in a game. Wouldn't be too surprised if Lower Cape May goes to the bullpen if things get out of hand.
Well, they're a little light on their pitching, Dan. They've had a lot of games over the past week. I believe they might be 7. This might be their 7th game in 10 days. As Will Audie walks, took a strike on 3-0, but that 3-1 pitch low and outside. And now here comes Lewis Sewell.
You would be correct. This is their 7th game since May the 8th. But the good thing for Lower Cape May is that even though they have played a gauntlet of a stretch, they've gone 5-1 in that 6-game stretch, with their only loss being a 5-0 shutout versus ACIT. And 4 straight wins, one over Atlantic City, one over Pleasantville, 12-5, and then 2 wins in yesterday's round robin versus CCTS and Cape May Tech.
There's a strike from Slaney. Good crowd on hand here, as you would expect, these two local rivals on a beautiful Sunday. Sewell swings and misses, 0-2.
And not only will they get to be local rivals, but they'll be conference rivals starting next year, of course.
Wildwood coming back to the Cape Atlantic League.
Now, Brian, you've been reporting in this area for a lot longer than I have. I mean, I've only started doing this in 2022. Was there any rhyme or reason as to why they left the Cal in the first place to go to the TCC?
As Sewell strikes out. Good curveball from Slaney. Well, it all had to do with football. The Cape at Wildwood was really struggling with its football program. They were actually playing at the JV level. The Cape Atlantic League was trying to make them come back into the league as a varsity program, and that's why they left. Now, you know, I thought it was a good move at the time. Here's Owen Bannon, takes a strike. But what I didn't understand was when the West Jersey Football League was formed and football got into the proper division playing similar type schools,
right,
Wildwood should have come back then. Here's a ground ball and a base hit to right field for Owen Bannon. He's been swinging a better bat as the season's gone on. Sometimes it takes those freshmen a while to get acclimated to the varsity level. A couple hits against Middle yesterday, and he gets a base hit in his first at bat here. So this is Vinny Sweeney here, first and second with 1 out. Sweeney squares to bunt, and Slaney steps off. Sweeney, good bunt down the first baseline. They have to throw over there. Nice play on the rotation by Lower Cape May as Elwell tosses to Milligan for the out. That was a really good bunt considering that pitch was not a strike. That was up by his eyes, but he got the bat to the ball, and a really good bunt there.
Well, I think he was insistent on dropping down the bunt no matter what.
Well,
he wasn't really going to be patient.
And on first and second, you really want to get that bunt down the third baseline.
But I think the ball was hit softly enough to where you were going to get the sacrifice no matter what.
No doubt. Here's Trevor Troiano. Couple of runners in scoring position for him. That pitch gets away, and Will Audie will score. Curveball in the dirt. So Wildwood takes a 2-0 lead. Troiano walked his first time up, but then got picked off. Here is a floater to left field, and it's going to fall. Kind of got jammed there, but was strong enough to lift it into the outfield, and it's an RBI single for Trevor Troiano, who has just tied the program record for hits in a season with his 44th.
And no better way to do it than with an RBI.
So it's 3-0 Wildwood here in the top of the second. And here's Gianni Troiano, struck out his first time up. And he smokes a ball off Rickards' glove. Troiano is going to be able to get the third here, and now they're going to send him home, and he's going to be out. Yes. Great throw by the left fielder, Cooper Milligan there. It took a great throw to get him, and Troiano thrown out at home. But Wildwood takes the 3-0 lead. And we're going to have a replay. I think we have a replay of this, do we, Dan?
I believe we do, and then we'll go to break after this.
So here you'll see the ball hit.
Yeah, just hit his glove, and then, let's see, so the left fielder tried to pick it up, and then you can see he just missed it. He overran it, and then Rich Hans gave him the green light. Here comes the throw to the plate. I think the tag was right there. Believe he got him. We'll go to the bottom of the second inning in a 3-0 Wildwood lead. Welcome back. This broadcast is brought to you by Harper Driving School. Over 90% of students who take their New Jersey state driving test with Harper pass on their first attempt. You can book an appointment today at Suite 4 of the Total Turf Complex in Pittman, New Jersey, at 614 Lambs Road, just minutes from Route 55.
So here's Stephen Lutchen leading off for Lower Cape May. Tigers trail 3-0 here, bottom of the second. And we have a delay here as the person handling the music didn't cut it in time, so the umpire did the right thing and stopped play. Now we're ready to go. Trevor Troiano, his second inning of work. Strike one. Lower hit a couple balls hard in that first inning, but they resulted in outs. And that's the one thing about Wildwood's pitching. They really do pitch to contact. They don't have any flamethrowers there. Trevor Troiano probably throws the hardest of their main pitchers.
And that's in contrast to the other side where Chase Slaney in 18 1/3 innings, only 8 strikeouts going into this start. So he's been more of a pitch to contact guy as well. So that'll keep everybody in the diamond on their toes.
Pitches outside, 2-1. Good fastball there, up by the letters. Lutchen couldn't catch up to it. I think if you're Wildwood, I would throw it up there again. 2-2.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Right. That fastball was down by the knees. It's fouled off.
And that came up in our championship round yesterday with Rowan Gloucester. Victor Oquendo was the starter out of Timber Creek, and he had 4 strikeouts in the first inning and a third, got them all in a row, and all 4 strikeouts were on the same pitch in the same location, fastball up in the zone. If you've got it in the groove, why not keep trying until it doesn't work?
I think this might be a curveball, though. Or something off speed. Nope, high fastball, and the count goes full. Three-two pitch. Got him off speed. That's a really good curveball. And if you're Lutchen, you're not expecting that on 3-2.
I don't think anybody would be expecting that on 3-2.
That's a perfectly placed pitch, outside corner at the knees, and Lutchen was way ahead of it. So this will bring up Cooper Milligan, the 6-hitter.
And the second strikeout for Troiano.
Fly ball to center. It's hit pretty deep. Wow, Michael Blanda got turned around a couple times, but then was able to right himself and make the catch. And we talked about this when we did the broadcast down here against Pleasantville when Wildwood played them, Dan. Sometimes that ball hit right at the center fielder is difficult to judge.
For sure, and I think as well that if it's hit right at you and you don't have to move side to side, you sometimes have to judge for yourself if you need to take a couple extra steps back. But the fundamental lesson is you always want to be further back than you need to be so that you can run in.
Right.
You know, you'd rather be a step back that you can correct than a step forward, because you never want to have to make that circus catch over your shoulder.
This is Blake Cedarland, the designated hitter. He's hitting for Colin Hewitt, the right fielder. That curveball. You can see Trevor kind of making the motion with his arms, kind of telling himself, snap it down, snap it down.
I think he could tell, and we could tell as well, that's not where he wanted that pitch to be.
That fastball's low. 2-1. Bouncing ball towards short. Gianni Troiano throws too high. And the runner going to second. Oh, great throw by Mawhinney, but it ended up short hopping Owen Bannon. It was accurate in that it was on target, but Bannon couldn't scoop it.
Yeah,
and Cedarland gets the second base.
I was looking at that throw. Gianni Troiano had it, and it was short, but he ended up bobbling the ball in his glove. It kind of tossed around a few times like a hacky sack between his glove and his hand, and he wasn't able to apply the tag inside, so that'll be 2 bases for Cedarland.
It's one of the things with Gianni Troiano. He's a really good fielder, but from the shortstop position, he does have some accuracy issues throwing the ball to first base, and he threw that one way high. It's tough to get it over Nolan Mawhinney.
And during this mound visit, circling back real quick about what we were talking about with Wildwood rejoining the Cal, I was talking with Will Morris of St. Augustine about it, and it's honestly, in my opinion, a trade-off in the sense that Wildwood has to travel over an hour, if not just about an hour, for every single divisional opponent that they play.
Yeah, it's at least an hour.
And the closest would be like Clayton at an hour and 5.
Yes.
But my point is that the trade-off with the Cal is that you're not playing a lot of Group 1 schools, and you'll almost always be punching up to your competition by playing Groups 2, 3s, and 4s.
One thing I will say, though, with the alignment of the Cape Atlantic League, all of Wildwood's teams are starting in what they consider the bottom division, except for girls basketball. They'll be in the middle division.
Right.
So they'll be in with like programs, and they should be able to compete in most of their league games. in pretty much every sport.
I agree. And I think as well, correct me if I'm wrong, but I have to imagine logistics is a part of it because, you know, those buses traveling an hour each way for every single game, that takes a toll. And in an athletic department where you don't have a lot of players and a lot of athletes, you've really got to shorten your travel times and make it better for your student athletes.
This is Nick Rickards, the third baseman, the 8-hitter. Troiano ahead of him, 0-2 here. It's a fly ball to center. He hit that pretty well, but Blanda had a beat on it and makes the catch. So Lower Strand, Cedarland at second. We go to the third. It's Wildwood 3, Lower Cape May nothing.
Book Dog Pro Wrestling for your next event or outing for the greatest action that New Jersey Pro Wrestling has to offer. Any place, any time, any setting, Dog Pro Wrestling will bring the action to you, and you won't want to miss it for moments like this. But don't just take it from me. Take it from Max Mundo, the Dog Pro Wrestling ambassador.
This is Max Mundo with Dog Pro Wrestling. Are you a civic organization, sporting club looking to fundraise? Then look no further to Dog Pro Wrestling. We do grand openings, corporate events, and much more.
And why not from some of the wrestling talent themselves?
I'm Vinny the Fixer, and I'm the champion of Dog Professional Wrestling. If you want to book the best, come see us. We're the cream of the crop. We'll come to any fundraiser you can think of. Just name the place and we'll show up.
This is the upstanding Dylan Mesh, and for the
All right, Nolan Mawhinney to lead off for Wildwood. One thing we failed to mention at the top, the umpires for the game, it's Rocco Rossetti behind the plate, Chris Coleman on the bases. Chase Laney delivers. That pitch is low. Mawhinney, a base hit his first time up. There's a strike.
Yeah, Wildwood's been swinging the bat well off of Slaney. They've already got, 4 hits in this game already.
One thing Slaney's had trouble with, Dan, so far is he's been falling behind the leadoff hitter in every inning so far.
Right.
3-1 here to Mawhinney. Swing and a miss. That's a good curve. Mawhinney certainly wasn't expecting that on 3-1.
And I sound like a broken record, but I would say I don't think a lot of people would be expecting that at all. Pretty unconventional, but we'll see if it works.
Here is a pop-up. And Elwell takes care of that at first base.
I feel like this game has been a lot cleaner defensively than what we saw a few weeks ago or a few days ago with Pleasantville and Wildwood in a game that saw 6 errors on both sides. I don't want to jinx it, but it feels like this game a little bit more fundamentally sound.
Six errors and 12 hit batsmen. There's Michael Blanda. That's going to be a hit. His speed, there's no way they won't even throw it. And Blanda does bunt often, and that might have been his best bunt of the year right there. And he'll be a threat to steal. This is a kid that he's the fastest player on the field, there's no doubt. Here's Michael McWade. RBI single his first time up. And he bloops one to right, and that is caught. Colin Hewitt was positioned perfectly, kind of shaded toward the right center gap. I think Michael McWade, as he trots back to the dugout, will realize, yeah, that's not the swing you want on strike one. Really good pitch there, kind of outside corner at the knees. Here's Will Audie.
Well, we were talking about stolen bases. Wildwood as a team has stolen 127 bases this season. This could be 128.
And Blanda steals it. It's not easy to steal on Ashton Ray. And Ray did a great job with his pop time there on a ball in the dirt and actually made that play at second closer than a lot of people probably thought it would be. 2-0 now to Audie.
We were talking about stolen bases with, 123. 21 for Blanda, now 22. 27 for Trevor Troiano and 19 for Gianni Troiano, as it's been an impressive season on the bases for Wildwood.
3-0 now to Audie. Slaney's been behind a lot of hitters so far. Ball 4.
That's his second walk of the day.
And it looked like Lower Cape May was going to run. It looked like they were trying to run some kind of a pickoff play there at second base, and Slaney delivered the pitch instead. And he delivered the pitch with the second baseman only about 4 feet from the bag, and the shortstop, Heacock, was running over towards second. I mean, Audie was probably taking all the way on 3-0, but that's a play there where you're really exposing the infield.
Especially if he put the ball in play.
And I think that's why Ashton Ray went out to the mound there to talk to Slaney. But now it's first and second with 2 outs for Lewis Sewell. Curveball beaten into the ground and foul.
And speaking of stolen bases, Wildwood stole 84 bags last year. That was good for 11th in South Jersey, but they could have a top 3 mark for stolen bases. Last year, the leader was Pleasantville, who stole 157 bags. Behind them was Doan with 149 and Buna with 126. So Wildwood even more aggressive on the bags with 40 more swiped bases than they had last season.
That pitch is outside. Slaney steps off here. Chases Blanda back to second. That pitch is outside. 2-1 to Sewell. That one's fouled off. 2-2. This could be off speed here. And there's a floater, and it's a base hit. And trying to score here is Blanda. Blanda should be ruled safe. He's going to be ruled safe here. There was obstruction on the base on one of the fielders. And Blanda is going to be ruled safe at home here.
Well, the umpires are going to conference it.
Blanda ran into, I believe, the third baseman, Rickards, and they're going to say that I believe they're going to give him home on this, on obstruction.
Yeah,
so
they're sending Lower Cape back out onto the field.
Yeah, so it ends up being an RBI single for Lewis Sewell. And again, Dan, Slaney delivered that pitch with his shortstop behind second base. That little blooper may have been able to be caught.
Yeah, and Brian, we've got a replay now of this play. Taking a look at it, your replay is presented by Harper Driving School.
And there you see the obstruction as he ran into the third baseman. It's a good job by the base umpire to pick that up.
Oh, wow, yeah, I didn't even see that at the time.
So here's Owen Bannon with runners on second and third. That pitch is outside. Scoreboard out in center field says 3-0, but Wildwood leads at 4-0.
Now they fixed it.
And
Ryan Slaney tried to get the home plate umpire's attention.
This is actually Eric Wolf, the assistant coach.
Oh, apologies.
He's going to come out. He's the pitching coach. We didn't mention Lowers coach is Ryan Slaney, as you said, the head coach, the assistants, Eric Wolf, Steve McIntyre, Jay DeCave.
I'll give Lower Cape May credit for what it's worth. I mean, they're 2-10 in division play, but they started out 0-7 before getting their first win in a series split versus Middle, and they were 2-12, as we mentioned in the Open, as of April 27th. But since then, they have won 8 games and have only they're 8-3 in their last 11 games.
And you know what, Dan? They've tended to do that under Ryan Slaney the last couple of years. They really come on toward the end of the year, and they do a nice job of kind of sticking together and then winning a bunch of ball games at the end of the year.
You're absolutely right. They were 3-12 in the month of April last season, and then riffed off 7 straight wins at the end of the regular season. They notched the 9 seed in South Jersey Group 2 and upset Barnegat on the road, although how much can you call a 9 versus 8 an upset before losing to Haddonfield?
Ground ball by Bannon. And Connor Milligan takes care of that. Wildwood leads it 4-0 as we go to the bottom of the third.
In life, the road ahead is full of possibilities, but to navigate it safely, you need the right skills. Harper Driving School is the premier driving school serving Gloucester, Salem, and Camden counties. With experienced instructors, many of whom are teachers in local schools, we are dedicated to your success and will help you master the road with confidence. With an over 95% success rate of students passing their road test on their first try, you know your student will be in good hands while embarking on a huge step of their young adult lives, all while avoiding the lines at the DMV and getting insurance discounts.
We chose Harper, and so should you.
All right, back for the bottom of the third. This is Connor Milligan, the 9-hitter, leading off for Lower Cape May. Wildwood leads 4-0. Trevor Troiano still on the mound for the Warriors. Pitch was outside.
And Milligan, a freshman, 5 for 44 this year, but he's recorded 8 walks, 7 stolen bases, and 5 hit by pitches. And he's looking for his first hit since May the 1st.
He fouls that one off. One thing we're seeing in this game, 2 really good young catchers. Ashton Ray for Lower Cape May, Michael McWade for Wildwood. That's a strike right down the middle. 1-2. Swing and a miss. That's a big out for Wildwood there. You know, when you have the 9-hitter leading off an inning, you really, as a defense, want to get that out. You certainly don't want, you know, that leadoff hitter on for the top of the order. Here comes Ashton Ray. He struck out his first time up.
Yeah, 3 strikeouts through the first rotation of the order. What we've noticed in between both teams is they're putting the ball in play a lot. And even though Wildwood's walked a handful of times, both of these teams are still putting the ball in play and making these fielders work for the outs.
That pitch is low. Kind of a big inning here for Lower Cape May with the top of their order up here, even though there is 1 out. They trail 4-0.
And CCTS has just arrived.
Is fouled off.
Yeah, the Camden Tech Warriors are here, led by Barry Galasso, And they'll face Middle Township in our second semifinal of the day at 1:30.
That ball is smoked, and it's a foul ball, just foul.
I thought that had a chance of hitting some chalk, but our view's a little bit obscured down the third base line thanks to the fence.
I just based it off the umpire's call. I couldn't see it either. Well, 1 and 2, after that swing, I would expect something off speed here. Ray calls time. Oh, it's a fastball. I think Ray was expecting something off speed, and he threw that right by him. You know, I think Wildwood just outsmarted him there a little bit. I think Ray, after getting such a good swing and pulling a ball foul, probably thought he was getting something soft. And Trevor Troiano threw what was probably his best fastball of the day right there and caught him looking. Here's Chase Slaney. Swing and a miss. Slaney's 0 for 1.
Third base umpire is going out to talk to the home plate umpire.
Yeah, I don't know what this stoppage is about here.
I'm not sure either. That's Wildwood's trainer coming out, I believe.
Well, Slaney may have hurt himself on the swing. Now, again, he did have an ankle injury he came back from. I don't know if that ankle buckled on the swing or if this is something else.
Yeah, I don't know if he might have overexerted himself on the swing or what that could be. Yeah, unfortunately, we don't have a replay of that. Have to save it in a certain amount of time, and when it's just a regular swing and miss, you're not expecting anything like this to happen. So
Wildwood trainer Mandy Perez is looking at Slaney here, and I don't know if he's going to have to come out of the game or not.
And if he does, that forces a very early call to the bullpen for the Caper Tigers. He's going to go into the dugout here, and yeah, so we're going to find out some information on that.
So the word we're getting here on Slaney is that he actually, I guess you could say, feels a little nauseous, like he just felt lightheaded.
Oh, okay. One of the Wildwood assistant coaches is bringing him water and a Gatorade.
Yeah, Dave Bannon is walking across there, and
because the swing, it didn't look like he hyperextended anything,
right.
Or I've seen that happen before. It's not necessarily a super hot day, but it's warmer than it's been the last couple of days, and sometimes. And there are players who are especially hypersensitive to those conditions.
So there's some EMTs here. They're going over to take a look at him as well. So we hope he's okay. This is Connor Snyder who will pinch hit for him, and he will assume Slaney's count. So there is one strike on the batter. And Lower Cape May, the other issue, as you alluded to, is that Lower Cape May is going to have to also substitute for him on the mound.
And you're already down by 4 runs.
Right.
Obviously, the most pertinent issue is making sure that he's okay, but the secondary story is that they're trailing in this game, and they'll need to call to the bullpen in the third inning.
Snyder swings and misses. 0-2. Tough spot for Snyder. I mean, he's not expecting this, and he's got to run up there, and now he's quickly down 0-2.
You get thrown into the fire, not to mention he's a freshman. This is just his third at-bat at the varsity level. His first since May the 1st. He had one versus Bridgeton and one back on March the 26th versus Absegami.
And that's strike 3. So 1, 2, 3 goes Lower Cape May in the bottom of the third. We'll go to the fourth. It's Wildwood 4, Caper Tigers nothing. All right, so we are back, and the new pitcher is Connor Milligan, moving over from the second base position.
So Milligan, 5.25 ERA, 24 innings.
Excuse me, Dan,
Yes.
and just to set the scene here, Connor Snyder, who assumed the at-bat for Slaney, has gone into the game at second base.
Okay, so those are the changes for Lower Cape. Again, Milligan, 24 innings, 18 earned runs. He has 14 unearned runs on his resume, which keeps his ERA at 5.25, 16 walks, 20 Ks. This is his 14th appearance of the year. He has appeared in more than half of Lower Cape May's games so far this year.
Vinny Sweeney leading off, sacrifice bunt his first time up. He's the 9-hitter for the Warriors, who lead 4-0 here in the top of the fourth. That fastball's high.
Now, I have kind of an odd question. The rest period, if you throw 20 or more pitches, is 1 day, right?
No, it's actually 0 days. You can throw the next day.
Okay, so it is back, because I was looking at it, and he threw 30 pitches yesterday versus CCTS, and I was thinking he had to rest.
You can throw up to 30.
Up to 30.
If you throw between 30 and 50, I believe it's 1 day, and then over 50, it's 2,
I don't know
without
why I
having
it
it
was
in front
20.
of me.
I don't know why I thought it was 20.
Oh, Sweeney is hit by that pitch. 20 is the little league rule, I believe, Dan. That's probably what you're thinking of. And then the rule is 110 in a day, 150 every 5 days.
Yeah, an inning and a third versus CCTS yesterday. 2 hits, no runs, 2 walks, and 3 Ks. He struck out 6 batters in his last 2 appearances, including 2 1/3 innings versus Pleasantville.
So Sweeney, the 9-hitter, gets on by a hit by pitch, brings Troiano to the plate. That pitch is a strike. You see Troiano kind of bail out of the way a little bit, but he's a kid who gets right up on top of the plate. That ball grazed the inside corner. That pitch is low. Ray thought about throwing behind Sweeney at first, but then hangs onto it.
Milligan had his longest appearance of the year versus Wildwood on May the 4th. He threw 5 innings, allowed no earned runs, and 4 walks, 3 Ks.
Ball gets away. Sweeney will go to second, and he'll make it there.
It looked like that ball just kept rolling. It hit the glove, and then it just kept getting away from the first baseman, Elwell.
Good jump by Sweeney there because, if you don't get a good jump on that right away, there's no way he'd make it there. Runner in scoring position with nobody out. Troiano takes a strike, and he's behind in the count 1-2.
Yeah, so Milligan's appearance versus Wildwood was his only appearance this year that was longer than 3 innings.
That's a really good pitch there by Milligan. Struck him out. Fastball right on the outside corner. I think Trevor Troiano might have had some trouble seeing the ball out of Milligan's hand. He didn't look comfortable at all in that at-bat. He took 3 strikes. Here's Gianni Troiano now, Trevor's cousin. And that ball is ripped right at Heacock, and this will be a double play. No,
he got in late.
So Snyder, that ball was hit so hard, Snyder just couldn't get to the bag fast enough, and Sweeney makes it back.
And Troiano, he's been riding a hot bat. He's got a hit today. He's had a hit in his last 5 games, including today, and he's had multiple hits in 3 of his last 4 games.
Now here's Mawhinney. 2 outs and a runner on second. That's a strike. So Sweeney now at second with 2 outs. Pickoff play. Sweeney is safe.
And for Mahiney, he had a hitless game versus Middle Township yesterday. That broke a 5-game hit streak, including one with multiple hits versus Salem, dating back to May the 7th.
Sweeney's a plus runner at second base, so a base hit. Wildwood would have a good chance to score him from there. Good curveball.
The best pitches you can throw in that situation for the pitcher's confidence are the ones where the hitter looks off kilter, looks off balance, and it makes you comfortable as a pitcher that you're doing the right thing.
They throw it again, which is smart, and Mawhinney strikes out. So a promising inning at the start when Wildwood gets its 9-hitter on base with nobody out. But Milligan does a good job of pitching out of that, and we go to the bottom of the 4th, still 4-0 Wildwood. Okay, we go to the bottom of the 4th. Wildwood 4, Lower Cape May nothing. And it'll be Caden Elwell leading it off for the Caper Tigers.
Next week on Dan Wilkins Broadcasting, as we've got 3, 4, and 5 here in the 4th, on Monday we'll have Tri-County cross-division action between Washington Township and Highland. And on Tuesday, the day of the Diamond Classic Final, our friends over at BFA have that live stream, but we will have a non-conference game between Cherokee and Northern Burlington, 2 state champions from last year. Thursday will be between Gloucester Catholic and Kingsway, a chance to contend for the Tri-County Royal title. And on Friday, it'll be Haddon Heights and Rancocas Valley from Haddon Heights at 4 o'clock. We close out Memorial Day weekend with Saturday in non-conference play between Holy Spirit and Timber Creek from Blackwood at 10 a.m. Back to you, Brian.
This is Caden Elwell, and he was hit by a pitch his first at bat. 3-hitter for Lower Cape May, really having a nice senior season for the Caper Tigers. one of just 2 seniors on this Lower Cape May team. That's a strike. Wildwood only has 2 seniors. Neither start. Both very young teams. Lower's loaded with sophomores. Wildwood's loaded with freshmen and juniors. Here's a high bouncer that goes foul.
And you were talking about those young teams, and when I see young teams, I like to think that they're projectable if that core stays together.
Right.
A great example back where I'm in is Glassboro. When I saw them last year, they had 5 freshmen in their starting lineup, and all of them stuck around for their freshman year. Now, they started off 1-6, but they've riffed off a lot of wins, and now they're back near 500 for a very good Group 1 team.
That's strike 3. That's a really good pitch right at the knees.
And Troiano struck out 4 in a row, 3 in a row looking.
Yeah, sometimes I'm wondering if the Lower Cape May, some of these hitters are going up there trying to guess pitches. They're not getting what they think they're going to get, and then they have a hard time taking the bat off their shoulder. Here's Ty Heacock, grounded into a force out. His first at bat. He fouls this pitch off. He was kind of unfortunate. He kind of hit the ball really hard between third and short, and it took a funny hop and bounced right up to the shortstop, Troiano, and he was able to flip the second for a force out. There's a swing and a miss. Troiano ahead 0-2. Just missed outside. It's a good spot there on 0-2. 3 straight fastballs. I would think he's going to get something soft here now. He does, and he swings and misses. Really good curveball there on 1-2 by Troiano.
And for Heacock, I mean, he's been a great player in this tournament so far. He had 4 RBIs in the first game versus CCTS that they won 9-5. Had 2 for 4, 4 RBIs, and 2 doubles. And he's been riding a 3-game hit streak with 2 hits in each of his last 3 games. See if he can add on any this afternoon.
Here's Stephen Lutchen, 5-hitter. Ground ball to third. Sewell can't pick it cleanly, and Lutchen will reach first base.
Curious to see how they'll score that, because
Yeah,
it would be ordinary effort, but, I mean, it would have been a tough play with him getting it out of the box quickly.
Yeah, behind third, I would have taken a really strong throw there to get him anyway. So here's Cooper Milligan.
And we could always confirm with the home dugout the official scoring.
They have Wildwood has scored it an error.
Okay.
Two outs and a runner on first. That pitch is low.
That plays one of those 50-50 calls. I'm indifferent no matter how you slice it.
That's a strike. Wildwood holding a 4-0 lead here in the bottom of the 4th. Stephen Lutchen on first with 2 outs, reached on an error. This is Cooper Milligan at the plate, the 1-1 count. That is a ball. Trevor Troiano asking his catcher something there. 2-1 to Milligan. It's a ground ball to short. Gianni Troiano flips to Owen Bannon. And the inning is over. It was close. Good hustle there by Lutchen on that, and that made it a lot closer than it probably should have been. We'll go to the 5th. Wildwood leading 4-0.
In life, the road ahead is full of possibilities.
May is Mental Health Awareness Month. It is the responsibility of all of us to make sure that our friends, family, and anybody who we hold dear in our lives is feeling well.
The problem with spotting mental health issues is that the symptoms aren't that obvious. Just because someone is okay or appears okay on the outside doesn't mean that they're okay on the inside.
It's important that if they are in distress, that they call the right people and they get the help that they need.
And it is very important that we treat each other with respect, regardless of who you are or where you come from. But it is just as important that we treat ourselves with respect, regardless of the situation going on in our lives.
If you're in distress, you can call this number, 988, or you can visit any of these websites if you're not in distress, but would like to learn more information about mental health awareness and research.
Michael Blanda to lead it off for Wildwood. He's been on base twice today.
And a good place to start for Wildwood with 4, 5, and 6 in the order, trying to get some insurance runs in the middle innings.
That pitch hits Blanda. And he's a leadoff base runner.
Second time he's been hit today.
Yeah, third time on base. He has a bunt single and two times hit by a pitch. Here's McWade. Blanda has a stolen base.
McWade has hit safely in 5 of his last 6 games. Has only recorded 1 RBI during that stretch. That was versus Pensgrove a few days ago.
He does have
somebody gets on base.
Does have an RBI single today. His base hit opened the scoring in the first inning. Strange inning. Wildwood scored a run, but had 2 players picked off of bases in that inning. Really could have been a bigger inning than it was.
I mean, after how well Wildwood was playing in the first few innings, I thought maybe this game was going to get away from lower, but even after the injury/illness to Chase Slaney, they've held it down, and 4 runs, their bats are just the ones that got to get it going. They've held it down on the defensive side.
That's a strike to McWade. Count is 2-1. Scoreboard initially had 3-0. Now they fix it. The scoreboard here at the game, that is. Here's a foul ball.
I looked over at my producer. I thought he had it wrong for a second.
No way. He's all over it.
That's why he's one of our best.
2-2 pitch coming to Michael McWade. Oh, they got Blanda picked off. Oh, and he's safe at second. Blanda did the right thing there once he was picked. Just ran hard to second base, and he may have beaten that anyway. The throw was dropped around the bag, but it was a high throw. Blanda may have beaten that anyway, even if it was caught.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, it's better to commit to it in that situation if you get picked off, because the more you play chicken, the more you try to wiggle out of it. Pickoffs 99% of the time, those rundowns do not work. Your best opportunity is just sticking to your guns.
Oh, great job by McWade to foul off a really good curveball there. Two pitch again to McWade. That's high. So full count now. Wildwood with Michael Bland at second base and no one out here in the top of the 5th. And that's ball 4. First 2 runners on base here for Wildwood. And the courtesy runner, Matt Mayer, comes in for Michael McWade. Eric Wolf, the pitching coach for Lower Cape May, heading out to the mound.
Nobody warming up from what I can see. I don't know if this field has proper bullpens.
Usually they go down the right field line. There is no one down there at this juncture.
And there's plenty of room. You don't really have to worry about it.
Eric Wolf, the pitching coach for Lower, was a terrific athlete in his own right in this area. Is a Middle Township graduate. He's a really good baseball and football player. Played in the Carpenter Cup for baseball. And was the starting quarterback for the Panther football team in his day. Quite a bit ago, though, Dan.
Well, quite a bit ago, as in
quite a long time ago. But I covered him when he was in high school, so I don't want to call him old. That makes me older.
Well, I've only been covering South Jersey for 5 years, so my scope is somewhat limited. Definitely more limited than yours, but that's why I love telling the stories from before I started, because it really goes to show how deep South Jersey history runs, even in York County.
This could be a bunt situation here for Audie. First and second, nobody out. We'll see what Wildwood does. He does square, gets it down the first baseline. No one's covering, and he's out.
He took a stumble around the bag.
Snyder got there late, but he did get there and just barely beat Audie to the bag. Good job on the sacrifice bunt, though.
Who was that covered first? Was that the second baseman?
That was the second baseman, Snyder.
How about a 1-4 sacrifice? Don't see that all the time.
No. Here's Lewis Sewell. Takes a curve for a strike. That's a good pitch by Milligan there. Get ahead. It's a good job by Sewell to let that go as well. That's a pitcher's pitch there on strike 1. You don't want to swing at that. Swing and a miss. And Milligan is ahead. 2 strikes on the batter, Lewis Sewell. Sewell is 1 for 2 with an RBI. Well, that was close. Lower Cape May certainly wanted that call. I believe the umpire called that outside. Another curveball. That one's in. Two and two on Sewell. Fastball. And he is out. Good spot there by Milligan on the outside corner.
I always like when pitchers set up that fastball outside on 2 strikes, especially because it forces you to either swing early and roll over or swing late and drive it the other way. Obviously, you don't want to put that in their hands entirely, so you want to stick to your gun, stick to your specialties, and in that case, right-hander Milligan goes and gets the fastball.
2 outs here for Bannon. That's low and away. This is a big spot here for Lower Cape May. Trailing 4-0 here in the 5th, and 2 runners on at second and third with 2 outs. They really don't want Wildwood adding to their lead. Bannon hits it hard. It's bobbled by the first baseman, Elwell, but he still gets there in plenty of time to end the threat by the Warriors. So Lower dances out of trouble there. They still trail 4-0 as we go to the bottom of the 5th. Back at Wildwood's Maxwell Field here for the bottom of the 5th. Southern Cape Strikeout Cancer Classic semifinal. Wildwood leads 4-0. This is Blake Cedarland leading off for Lower Cape May. That pitch is low. Collaboration here between Dan Wilkins Broadcasting and Cape Atlantic Live. Happy to be here at Maxwell Field. We'll have all 3 of these games for you.
10 games in 4 days for me, Brian.
Good thing you're not a catcher. Triano falls behind 3-0 here.
I haven't worked on that technique. I couldn't catch an inning, let alone 10 games or 1 game.
Triano hasn't walked anyone today, but he's now 3-0 here to Cedarland. That's strike 1.
Yeah, he's only allowed a handful of base runners hit by pitch, 2 fielders' choices, 1 to end the inning, and 2 errors in the field by the Warriors.
Triano battles back, gets the count full here. Blake Cedarland trying to get on as the leadoff man. And that ball is hit hard to left center field. Diving effort in the outfield. And Vinny Sweeney couldn't come up with it, and it's a base hit. Really good effort by Sweeney out there.
And that'll be the first hit of the game for Lower Cape May. There were 2 errors in the field by Wildwood. There was one that we were talking about earlier by Lewis Sewell that we weren't sure whether they would call it a hit or an error, and that one for sure was able to split the gap in time for the Caper Tigers' first hit of the game.
Nick Rickards. At the plate now. Here's a ground ball to short, and Mawhinney couldn't come up with it. They'll throw to third, and safe is Cedarland. Triano's throw was low. I think Mawhinney would tell you he should have come up with that. That ball bounced about 6 or 7 feet in front of the bag. It really should not have been that difficult of a scoop, but he couldn't come up with it. And now Lower has first and third with nobody out.
And now Rich Hans is going to come out to talk to his pitcher for Triano.
And you know, still a lot has to happen here, Dan, but you know, you look at a couple of these innings, Wildwood has ended innings. Let's just put it this way: they've left a lot of runners on base.
Right.
You know, they had first and second with nobody out, second and third with 1 out after the sacrifice bunt last inning, did not score. They had a previous inning in this game where they left a couple runners on base here, and you know, just didn't have chances to extend their lead here. And now Lower Cape May is basically one hit away from getting back in this game here, since Wildwood hasn't been able to extend that lead from 4-0.
So both Middle and CCTS are here. Again, first pitch of that game, too, is set for 1:30. Depends on how this game goes, but right now 12:24.
Well, I'll tell you what's interesting with this scenario here with first and third and nobody out. If you're Wildwood with a 4-0 lead, I'm going to throw to second and try to throw that runner out trying to steal on first and third if they try the first and third steal. I'll allow that run to score and take the out, leading 4-0. We'll see what – and that's if Lower Cape May even runs.
Yeah, I don't know. They haven't been as aggressive as Wildwood has, but to be fair, not many teams are as aggressive on the bases as the Warriors are. So it'll be interesting to see how that pans out.
The 9-hitter, Connor Milligan. That pitch is high.
Well, I can tell you McWade is certainly back, or at least pump faking as if he's expecting a steal, or he's at least expecting Rickards on first to have a big lead.
Well, I think if you're Lower, I'm not sure I run here. Yeah, you don't want to make an out on the bases trailing 4-0. There's a strike. Is a big batter in this inning. It's the 9-hitter. There's nobody out in the inning, and Lower Cape May's about to turn their lineup over and get their big hitters up. Ashton Ray on deck. Runner goes. They do throw through. It gets all the way through, and the run's going to score. Wildwood was actually catching that ball, or trying to catch that ball early.
And Rich Hans is contesting the call.
Well, I think what Rich Hans was asking for interference on the batter that the umpire did not grant. He felt like the batter moved his body in front of the plate as McWade made the throw. So a run scores, and now there's a runner at second. McWade's been really, really good behind the plate throwing runners out. I think I would have just tried to throw him out there rather than running that play. And that's an error there. And I'm not. Excuse me, I can't remember who it exactly was. If it was Bannon or Troiano that tried to take that short, but they just missed that ball.
Just kind of snuck through both of them.
There's the ball.
The margin was not that wide. It barely got through both Bannon and Troiano.
It's a foul ball. Counts 2-2 on Connor Milligan. 4-1 game here in the fifth. Lower threatening. They have a run in. Man on second with no one out. Top of the order about to come up after the 9-hitter Milligan. There's a swing and a miss. That's a big out for Wildwood. Here comes Ashton Ray.
8 strikeouts now for Trevor Troiano. He's been having a good night on the hill.
And Wildwood is going to intentionally walk him.
Wow.
To bring up Chase Slaney is re-entering, so obviously he feels better, which is good to see.
That would actually answer the question I was going to have all the way back when he was feeling under the weather, was whether or not if a player's removed via injury, if that one free substitution and the re-entering rule, if that applied. But I guess it does because he's now back in the game.
Troiano steps off.
About that intentional walk, I mean, Ashton Ray 0 for 2 with 2 Ks, but they know his presence at the plate. Decided not to throw to him. A little bit surprised.
Yeah, I think it's a risky decision. I mean, you have a 4-1 lead. You know, I'm not so sure with a 4-1 lead. I now want to bring the tying run to the plate.
And, of course, Ray isn't the lead runner, but the guy ahead of him is Rickards. And if the ball gets down, both of them could definitely get across given the right circumstances.
They throw back to first base, trying to surprise Ray, but he gets back.
And he wasn't taking a drastic lead either.
Here's a ground ball through. It's a base hit. They'll hold the runner at third, and now the bases are loaded with 1 out. Yeah, I just, that's the great thing about baseball. Everybody has a different opinion, and, that intentional walk may actually come back to bite Wildwood here. Now the bases are loaded with 1 out. This is Caden Elwell.
I mean, I understand the situation in the sense that Ray is a .390 hitter, and you're thinking that maybe he could get something worse
Well,
here, but the extra base runner.
He also struck out twice against Trevor Troiano today.
And that's the other side of the coin, is that you go off of today's results and say, well, why intentionally walk him? If he had 2 hits, 2 base hits, maybe a couple RBIs, I'd understand it, but we'll see if that decision hurts the Warriors or not.
Now Trevor Troiano in his first real jam in this game. It's 4-1 Wildwood. 1 out, bases loaded. That's strike 1 on Elwell. And Elwell is a kid that's got some pop in his bat. He's got quite a few extra base hits this year. Hit his first home run 3 days ago against Pleasantville. That pitch is high. Wildwood has their middle infielders back in double play depth. The third baseman, Sewell, the first baseman, Mowini, are up at the corners. So if they field cleanly, they'll try to come home for a force. Ground ball to Troiano, to Bannon, over to first. Safe. And a run scores. And I think the difference there, that's actually, we've been saying Bannon, that's actually Audie at second base. Excuse me. It's Will Audie who's been playing second base for Wildwood. Bannon is in the outfield.
Yeah, Bannon, your left fielder, and Audie at second.
Hasn't gotten too many balls hit his way, though. Maybe the 1 base hit earlier in the inning.
Strike 1 on Ty Heacock. 4-2 now, first and third with 2 outs. Swing and a miss. Delayed steal there by Elwell. Kind of caught Wildwood by surprise.
Caught me by surprise as well. I didn't even see it happen.
Yeah, I think if Wildwood had seen that, they're going to throw through and get the out, or try to get the out. Now the tying run's at second. A base hit could tie the game here. Heacock calls time. Two-strike pitch. A little high and outside, so it's 1-2. Big at bat in this game. Second and third, 2 outs, 4-2 game. Wildwood on top. Heacock calls time again. One-two pitch coming. In the dirt, great play by McWade.
There's a pretty deep backstop here. And we mentioned it last week that there's actually a slight decline in the grass.
Right.
So if that ball got away from McWade, very good chance runner from third comes in to score.
2-2 now. Swing and a miss. That's a big out there for Wildwood, and they'll take a 4-2 lead into the 6th. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Maxwell Field. This broadcast is brought to you by the South Jersey chapter of the National Adult Baseball Association. South Jersey's premier men's league with over 20 teams across 4 highly competitive divisions. Registration for the fall 2026 season opens on the 1st of June. Visit southjerseynaba.com for more information.
Vinny Sweeney leading it off for Wildwood. Pitch is high. Sweeney calls time. That pitch sails over Sweeney's head. 2-0. Sweeney has a sacrifice bunt, and he was hit by a pitch in this game, so officially he does not have an at-bat.
That ball must have hit the wood panel behind the plate.
That's strike one. That is called a strike on the inside quarter. 2-2 to Vinny Sweeney. Junior outfielder. That pitch is high. It sails over his head again, goes off that same wooden area at the bottom of the backstop.
The only reason why I reacted to it was because we've got our field mic right up there, and I guess it's turned up enough to where it rattles in my headset when it hits off the back.
Full count to Sweeney. Fouls one off. Might have been ball 4, but Sweeney, that's a good decision there to swing at that. You don't ever want to leave that to the umpire. That was close enough that he had to take a hack. And that hits him. Good at bat by Sweeney there.
That hit everybody. That hit the batter and the umpire.
Ashton Ray doesn't like it. I think he thinks that Sweeney didn't do a good enough job getting out of the way, but either way, the pitch is a ball anyway.
It's the second time Sweeney's been hit.
And here's Trevor Troiano here. He's 1 for 2 with an RBI. He takes a strike. No, Sweeney's picked off now.
He's going to beat
and
it again.
And he's safe. Wow. Another high throw.
And that time he just completely missed it.
Yeah, and I think what Elwell's got to do there is, he's catching the pitch from the pitcher, and he's turning and he's throwing the ball over the runner. He's got to step in front of the baseline and then just fire a strike to second base. That's the second time that's happened that Wildwood has gotten picked off but has made it to second base. 1-1 now to Troiano. Wildwood would love nothing more than to get those runs back they gave up last inning. They lead 4-2 here in the 6th. Well, Troiano probably swung at a ball there, and now he's down 1-2 in the count. Might see another high fastball here. He just swung through one. We'll see. Now it's something soft. Great block by Ashton Ray.
And that was really low. That skipped in front of the plate, almost at the front of the dirt. And that ball skipped up, and I believe it hit Ray near the top of his chest protector. So, yes, a very good save.
2-2. Curveball driven to right field. Dropped. Sweeney is going to be waved home, and they will not have a play, and Troiano gets the third on the 3-base error. We don't have a ton of wind here today, Dan, but the wind that is here is kind of blowing across the field toward the right field foul pole. And I think the wind may have taken that ball just a little bit further than the right fielder, Cooper Milligan, thought.
Yeah,
Colin Hewitt, excuse me. It's Colin Hewitt in right field.
I don't think he had a bad play on that. I just think it was barely out of his reach.
Here's a pop-up behind first base. So drift into foul territory. Great play by Elwell. They are going to tag. And safe is Trevor Troiano. It's a good decision there by Wildwood because Elwell, his body, he is moving away from the infield. That made that throw a little difficult because he had to turn and then make the throw, and Trevor Troiano beats it, and Wildwood now leads at 6-2.
That's a play that I try all the time in video games, and it rarely works, but in that situation.
Well, and I think Ashton Ray may have inadvertently got spiked by Troiano on the slide on the foot.
Yeah.
He was a little shaken up there.
So Wildwood got their wish. They got those 2 runs back.
There's a strike to Mawhinney. Yeah, good response by Wildwood after giving up the 2 runs in the 5th. They get the 2 back. They lead 6-2, 1 out. Pitch is low. Yeah, you got to give these catchers a lot of credit. You know, Michael McWade and Ashton Ray played a lot of baseball these last 2 days. Mawhinney pops one up behind the plate, and it'll just get out of play.
I'll tell you, covering college baseball, sometimes when you get players that or teams that have to play 27 innings in 2 days. I mean, for example, in our junior college tournament we had over the weekend, there were teams that had to play 18 innings in a day. It's never easy for those catchers.
Curveball bounced in front of the plate. They call it foul as it went off of Mawhinney's foot. Yeah, Lower Cape May's questioning that. I actually didn't see it hit Mawhinney's foot either, but that's what the umpire ruled.
I agree.
It's not to say it didn't, but
only guy who knows for sure is Nolan Mawhinney.
True. That pitch is low.
It'll depend on how much ibuprofen he needs after the game.
Swing and a miss on a curveball. Lower Cape May doesn't even realize there's only 1 out. There was only 1 out on that strikeout.
Yeah, they all went back to the dugout.
Yeah.
Oh.
You know, it's funny. Sometimes you'll see 1 player or 2 do that, but the entire team thought it was the 3rd out of the inning.
I think it ended up being a mob mentality there where they just didn't question it. I was even looking at my scorecard. I'm like, wait a second. I had to question myself.
Michael Blanda was starting to walk to the plate, and he's looking at Lower Cape May running off the field. So now he bats with 2 outs and no one on. That pitch is low. That pitch is high. So 2-0 to Blanda. That pitch is also high. Milligan showing some frustration out there on the mound, but that pitch was definitely high.
I don't know if it's frustration with the call or more with himself.
Right. That's a strike. That's ball 4. And I would think, Dan. I mean, even though he does have a stolen base today, but Ashton Ray, even though an elite high school catcher as a sophomore, I got to think with 2 outs, McWade or Blanda will be trying to steal second base here to try to get in scoring position.
Yeah, I think right now, I mean, you're in the top of the 6th inning. Wildwood wants insurance here, and they want to secure this spot in their home championship game. Now, remember, even if Wildwood wins, there's no guarantee they'll be the home team if we've got a mound visit.
Yeah, we're going to have a pitching change here. Milligan is going to come out. Ty Heacock will come in. Heacock is probably their best pitcher. So he'll come in to warm up. And we'll take a break while they go through the warm-ups on the pitching change for Ty Heacock. 6-2 Wildwood, we're in the 6th. All right, so Ty Heacock is the new pitcher. Milligan moves to shortstop, so that's just a position change there. And we'll see if Blanda runs here with 2 outs. No count on Michael McWade. Does not run, and there's a ground ball hit to short. They go the short way, and the inning is over. So Heacock needs to throw just 1 pitch there to get out of the inning. We go to the bottom of the 6th. It's Wildwood on top, 6-2.
Jersey is the number 2 seed. As we said, they beat Manville 19-0 in the first round, which was even larger than Audubon's 16-0 win over Paulsboro as the 1 seed in the first round. That one's hit out towards center field straight away. Oh, she misjudged it. Got over her head in center field. Now this one's got a chance to be 3 bases for Spire. She's flying around third. Here comes the throw to the plate. It is not in time. What a way to kick off a semifinal with an inside the park home run. Emma Spire, who will take her talents to the Great Danes after 2026, lights up the scoreboard with a fly ball that got misjudged in center field. And it gets past everybody. Graham will go back to position with no goal scored. They'll count down the time out loud here. Out to the left. One final shot, and it gets through. How about a buzzer beater? How do you do? It's a lead extending goal for Justin Lewis. Ugly to end the day for Luke Pokrovsky. Little pop-up, first base side, he calls for it, and for the first time in 33 years, the Charlotte Cougars will hoist the trophy and face Middlesex on Monday. 4-3, Cougars win it. And in the battle of green and gold, the trophy stays true with the visitors. What a finish! And Charlotte will pack their bags for middle. Welcome back. DWB Stats presented by by Rowan College of South Jersey. This is Wildwood's second appearance on Dan Wilkins Broadcasting. They went 1-0. They beat Pleasantville, and we saw them for the first time on May the 8th of 2026. This is Lower Cape May's second appearance on DWB. They have an 0-1 record. They lost 21-7 to Gloucester City in football on September 5th, 2024. Dan Wilkins Broadcasting Stats powered by Rowan College of South Jersey.
It's a ball smoked. That is a great play by Gianni Troiano.
What a play.
That was probably the hardest hit ball of the day. One pitch, one out.
And that's a huge count. That's a huge pitch as well, because the more outs you can get quickly, the lower pitch count it is for Troiano, who I believe is somewhere in the 80s range right now.
He's actually at 73, so he's
Even
in a good
lower.
spot here in the 6th inning. There's another ground ball to short, and Troiano can't come up with this one.
Better just eat it, let the base runner go, than have a chance at throwing it away.
Yeah, that was Stephen Lutchin who had the hard hit out. And then Cooper Milligan there reaches with one out. And here's Blake Cedarland. Cedarland 1 for 2 with a run scored. Runner goes. And Will Audie came and took that throw in front of the bag.
Yeah, he never tagged him.
Yeah. I know that the throw was short. You got to go to the bag and just try to short hop that. So stolen base there for Milligan. It's a foul ball. He gets ahead 0-2. I believe that first pitch was called a strike.
Believe so.
The scoreboard here only has the one strike.
Yeah, we got 0-2.
Yeah.
We'll get on him about it.
Ben's got it.
And speaking of DWB stats, in our next game, CCTS and Middle Township, they will both make their first appearance on Dan Wilkins Broadcasting and will become the 142nd and 143rd high schools in New Jersey to be covered on our broadcast network.
That's what I call comprehensive coverage. Pitches outside.
There you go.
1-2. Runner goes. Ball is popped up. Mawhinney has it, throws the second, double play.
I don't know why he was that far off the bag.
Well, he was stealing third, but obviously didn't recognize the pop-up fast enough. Good stretch over there by Gianni Troiano and picked up that throw on the short hop, and they end the 6th with a double play. Wildwood leads at 6-2. Back after this.
And it gets past everybody. Graham Ugly to end the day for Luke Pokrovsky. Little pop-up, first base side. He calls for it. And for the first time in 33 years, the Charlotte Cougars will hoist the trophy and face Middlesex on Monday. 4-3. Cougars win it. And in the battle of green and gold, the trophy stays true with the visitors. What a finish! And Shalleck will pack their bags for Middlesex and the Blue Jays when the weekend turns around to Monday. Up light, he's, again, one time leaving the bases loaded is frustrating enough. Doing it twice in a row. Oh, how about this? Line drive. They're going to – no, he's throwing it around the infield. They're going to throw him out at first. He's out. I have never seen that before. That is a 5-4-3 ground out because the third baseman thought he caught it. The home plate umpire said no, so he threw it around the infield and then
6-2 Wildwood as we go to the top of the 7th. Here's Will Audie leading off. And he officially does not have an at-bat today. He's got 2 walks and a sacrifice bunt. Ty Heacock came in relief, threw 1 pitch, got out of the last inning. And he steps in for his second inning of work. Fastball over for a strike. So ball hit to right field, and that one is caught. Colin Hewitt, good running catch. Well, he actually put a pretty decent swing on that.
This is an unlucky beat.
Lewis Sewell. It's a fly ball to center. With 3 pitches, 2 outs.
I will say it's a little bit interesting, and it's throwing me off a little seeing Wildwood on their home field as the away team.
Right.
I'm fully expecting them to be on the home side.
And now it's Owen Bannon. Bannon's 1 for 3 with a run scored. Almost made a diving catch in left field, too. I misidentified him as Vinny Sweeney earlier. Left his feet, the ball just nicked off his glove. First pitch was a ball. Second pitch is a ball.
And a quick point about Wildwood being the away team on their home field. That happened to the Phillies one time when they played a series with Toronto in 2010. As that one missed, but there was a World Leaders Summit happening in Toronto, so the Blue Jays couldn't have their home field. It was happening at Rogers Center.
I remember that, yeah.
And the Phillies wore their road grays, but played the walk-up music as normal.
There's a strike. Oh, no, outside, ball 4. So if nothing else, Wildwood has turned the lineup over as this is the 9-hitter Vinny Sweeney. He has a sacrifice bunt. He's been hit by a pitch, and he's walked. So he does not yet have an official at bat either. That's ball 1 in the dirt. Good stop by Ashton Ray. We've been saying that a lot today about him and Michael McWade. Can't say enough about the 2 catchers in this game. Both sophomores. A little different. Ashton Ray's probably a little more athletic. McWade's just a bulldog and a big, strong kid. That pitch is high. Two balls, no strikes to Vinny Fusco Sweeney. There's a strike. Heacock took a little off that one to get it over the plate. I think he kind of knew the 9-hitter 2-0 count. He's not going to swing. Foul ball. So Heacock's battled back. It's now 2-2. Runner on first, 2 outs. That pitch is high. It's an interesting pitch call there on 2-2 to the 9-hitter who just fouled a fastball off down the right field line to throw a curve in that situation that missed badly.
I'd imagine that's not the location he was looking for.
So the runner will be off on the pitch here. Sweeney fouls it off. Good job by Sweeney.
Yeah, late swing, but way to hang in there. I mean, again, you don't want to, you said it earlier, you don't want to leave that third strike call up to the umpire. Anything close with 2 strikes, even if you don't yourself think that that would be a strike.
Another 3-2 pitch. Ball 4. Good at bat again by Fusco Sweeney. He's had some really good at bats out of the 9 position, and this will bring Trevor Troiano to the plate with a couple of runners on. And he's 2 for 3. As we mentioned, has broken the single-season hits record here at Wildwood High. Trevor Troiano now with 45 on the season. Pitches in the dirt, another terrific play by Ashton Ray. The thing you see about Ray and McWade, they're just so quiet with their bodies. They just get in front of it, they lean over the baseball, square themselves to the ball. That's a strike. Good spot there, outside corner at the knees with a really good fastball. That pitch is high. 2-1. Foul off. 2-2 on Trevor Troiano. Wildwood leading 6-2, looking for more here. 2 outs in the top of the 7th, runners on first and second. Curveball in the dirt. Heacock has yet to really get his curveball close. Well, that's what's causing him to struggle a little bit this inning.
And you're in a tough spot because if your curveball's not working, you don't want to throw it.
Yeah, and now the runners get to move, so any base hit to the outfield is going to score that run from second. Ball 4 inside. I don't think that missed by much, but it was definitely in. Now here comes Gianni Troiano.
If I'm correct, 3 pitches Wald took for the first 2 outs, and now 3 straight walks. Really tough spot here for Lower. Now Ray and his pitcher Heacock are going to talk things over here.
Well, the interesting thing, too, is, I think if Lower Cape May were to come back and win this game, they would like to use Heacock probably in some capacity in the championship game. But he's now up to 20 pitches. Still has 10 to play with. If you throw, or actually, no, his pitch count, I'm sorry, the pitch count counts for the day, so he can still pitch. He can still pitch in the second game anyway. Bases loaded, 2 outs. Gianni Troiano pops it up. And the ball is caught at third base by Rickards, and Lower gets out of the jam. And we'll go to the bottom of the 7th with Wildwood ahead 6-2. So Trevor Troiano comes out for the 7th, trying to go for a complete game and finish what he started. His pitch count is in a very good spot. He's thrown 78 pitches. This is Nick Rickards, the 8-hitter, leading off for the Caper Tigers. Rickards had a really good at-bat his last time and got a base hit and scored a run. Strike one. The one thing with a four-run lead for Troiano, the important thing here for him would be to pound the zone, make Lower Cape May get 4 or 5 hits to be able to get back into the game. There's another strike. Oh, no, that was called a ball.
That's a little outside to me.
Yeah. McWade even nodded back to his dugout that it was a ball. Swing and a miss.
I mean, for Troiano, we saw him pitch when we worked together versus Pleasantville last week, and he only made it, I believe, to the 4th inning, but that was another high-scoring affair. This game a lot more traditional this Sunday afternoon.
1-2 pitch. Fastball's high. Swing and a miss. That's a big out there, big first out for Wildwood. Now Lower Cape May is going to send up a pinch hitter here. This is a junior, J.J. Bruner. Excuse me, a sophomore, J.J. Bruner.
And that's 10 strikeouts for Trevor Troiano. What a night it's been for him if he can complete this effort.
Strike one. It's a big at bat here, too. This is the 9-hitter. Lower Cape May would love nothing more than to get Bruner on base here to turn the lineup over, trailing by 4. That just missed. A little outside.
I don't know if that wooden panel, if that ball ricocheting off of it is as loud as in your headset as it is in mine.
It is a little loud. 2-1 to Bruner. Pop up. This could be a difficult play behind first base. And Sweeney makes the catch. What a play by Vinny Sweeney. Sliding as he caught it. A huge second out there for Wildwood. And we got the replay of this. That's a great play by Sweeney.
It's also called good awareness because he knew exactly how much ground he had to work with in right field. Tons of range. Great play by Vinny Sweeney.
Here's Ashton Ray. Strike one. Well, and unfortunately for Bruner, he hit that ball so high that Sweeney, who had to run a long way, was able to get there. 1-1 to Ashton Ray. 6-2 Wildwood. First semifinal of the day. Southern Cape Strikeout Cancer Classic. That's a ball. It's called the Strikeout Cancer Classic as a nod to Dustin Sturm, who recently battled cancer. He's the former Lower Cape May player and is also the brother of Wildwood assistant coach Randy Sturm. There's ball 3. And Dustin also was previously, before he had his health issues, was the recreation director in Middle Township. So he kind of touches a lot of the communities involved in this tournament, and we wish him the best. That cancer is in remission.
It's excellent to hear.
And that will be a fair ball for Ashton Ray. He will hold it first. Good job by Bannon to track that down, hold Ray to a single. And obviously, trailing by 4 runs, Ray's not going to risk running into an out at second base there.
especially with the championship bid on the line.
So bring up Ty Heacock.
Really
Lower
don't wanna make
Cape
the
May,
last out of the game
Lower
on
Cape May
bases.
came back and won a game last week against Atlantic. Now, they were only down a run, but they came back and won a game last week against Atlantic City when they had 2 outs and nobody on, and ended up getting 2 runners on, and then I believe it was either Lutchen or Elwell hit a 2-run double to win the game.
Well, after the
This is Slaney here.
After the
Swing and a
comeback
miss.
I saw last night, I don't think I will ever trust another comeback bid again.
No, you just anything can happen in baseball. It's an untimed game, as we all know. Swing and a miss. 0-2 on Chase Slaney. Slaney left the game momentarily early in the game as he was feeling lightheaded, but he did come back in for he did bat again last time through the order. He's down 0-2 here. High and away. Wildwood trying to close this out and reach the final, which is scheduled for 4 o'clock. Fouled off. I think Troiano got away with one there. He kind of hung a curve in the middle of the zone. I got to think he's going right back to his fastball here. Ball in the dirt. I was surprised he threw a curve there.
Yeah, I don't know. That was intriguing, but still 2-2 count.
Pop up, and this will go out of play. Onto the roof of the Wildwood Recreation Center, the Burns Center. Chase Slaney trying to hang in here. 2-2 count, 2 outs in the 7th. Swing and a miss. Got him. And Wildwood wins it 6-2. A complete game for Trevor Troiano. Easily the best game he's pitched this season. And the Warriors move on to the championship game later this afternoon. They'll play the winner of the game between Middle Township and Camden County Tech.
I mean, that was just an amazing performance by Trevor Troiano. 11 strikeouts in the complete game effort. Believe he was under 90 pitches. He just didn't. The only inning that was rough was the 5th, and that wasn't even really his fault. He gave up 2 hits. There was an error in the field. There was a bit of a questionable intentional walk, but he didn't give up a hit until the 5th inning, and in total, he only gave up 3 hits in the game. So Trevor Troiano easily gets our Player of the Game honors, and he was the machine that drove Wildwood into the final of this Strikeout Cancer Classic.
Yeah, 11 strikeouts, just 1 walk. He threw 98 pitches, and on top of that, he also went 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs, and as we said a couple of times during the broadcast, became Wildwood's single-season hits leader, the program record. He now has 45 hits, so congratulations to Trevor Troiano and Wildwood as they win it 6-2 over Lower Cape May. They will move on to the championship game later this afternoon, and we'll have that game later. We'll have Middle Township and Camden County Tech coming up momentarily.